Alright, man, look, we watching a video by Chance Dubnick. This is after 5 years, Nike finally caught them. I knew that from Cool Kicks was getting arrested. I just didn't never know what for, so this is gonna update us.
For almost a year, something strange was happening inside the sneaker world. Federal agents were showing up everywhere.
12 people face federal charges now, accused of stealing more than $2 million in Nike products from the company's North American Logistics Center right here in Memphis.
Federal prosecutors say this went on for at least 4 years, totaling nearly $2 million.
It was the other co-owner of Cool Kicks that was taken into custody by LAPD.
Including 40-year-old Keith Cannon, who owned Valid Kicks.
Project Blitz, Cool Kicks, warehouses filled with thousands of sneakers, search warrants, evidence boxes, and phones being held.
I knew that was like robbing the trains in Memphis, because that's how they would ship out a lot of their shoes too. They would ship them through trains, and them trains were like, it was like, yo, how the f do they always know that these trains are getting hit? Like how do they always know which what's the names to check? It was crazy. I ain't gonna lie.
Outside storefronts trying to figure out what was happening, but nobody seemed to know the answer. There were plenty of rumors about counterfeit sneakers, money laundering, tax fraud, stuff like that, but law enforcement and the government stayed completely silent. No interviews, no detailed press conferences, just a series of raids that at the time seemed to be a little bit unrelated. That's how it looked from the outside looking in. While the sneaker community was trying to guess what happened, federal investigators were allegedly putting together a case that had been going for years. And according to a federal indictment that just got released this month, I think we have answers to everything we need to know. The story didn't begin with Cool Kicks or Project Blitz or even California. It all began in a warehouse that was nearly 2,000 miles away. Nike's North American Logistics Center that was located in Memphis, Tennessee. Every single day, this building moves thousands of Nike products across the United States. If you've ever bought a pair of Jordans or Nike Dunks or anything of that nature, there's a good chance that it goes through this warehouse first. This is essentially the beating heart of Nike's entire supply chain. Products arrive in this warehouse from around the world. They get sorted, packed.
You put it in fucking Memphis, one of the worst places to put that bitch. I ain't gonna lie. Them niggas was going crazy robbing them fucking trains. Nike was losing way too much money, bro.
Labeled, loaded into trucks, and then shipped to retailers across the country, like Foot Locker or Champs or wherever you buy your shoes from. And on paper, it's one of the most efficient.
Like, yeah, because it's like, it's almost in the center of, you know what I'm saying? It's in the center, but like, damn, they get robbed.
Logistics systems in the entire world. Every package has a barcode, every carton has a destination, and every movement is seemingly tracked. And every shipment has one small detail that tells the entire system where to go, and that's a shipping label. And according to federal prosecutors, that tiny piece of paper would allegedly become the key to one of the biggest sneaker theft conspiracies in recent history. And the more investigators looked into this case, the more they realized that it wasn't just a traditional cargo theft.
Yeah, like they was getting hit the cargos, right? What the have to do with shipping labels?
Nobody was cutting locks or hijacking the trucks or breaking into the warehouse in the middle of the night. The operation allegedly relied on something a lot more simple, and that was the shipping process itself. Imagine you go online and order a pair of Jordans from Nike or the website. The order gets processed, Nike packs the shipment, and a shipping label is printed. And that label tells UPS exactly where the package belongs, as long as the label is correct. Now imagine somebody quietly replaces that label before the package ever leaves the building. The box is still scanned, and it still gets loaded into the truck, and UPS delivers it. But the only difference is the destination. And according to the indictment, this is what investigators believe exactly happened. So whenever there's a hype Jordan release, like let's just say, for example, the Jordan 4 Brick by Bricks, somebody in the warehouse would locate what boxes were filled with these sneakers that were going to be shipped out to Foot Locker or Champs or wherever. And when loading these up onto the UPS trucks to be shipped out to these stores, somebody would slap a label over the top of the one that was already on there. And this new UPS label would then ship it to a different location that wasn't the intended store. And this was addresses that investigators say had already...
So wait, so they would have the label on it, but right before it was going to get shipped out, niggas would put a label right on top of it. Oh my God, niggas is evil. So, yo, chat, that's how they scalp? I think so. So genuinely think about it. You go and you say you hit on a Nike app for some shoes you've been wanting, and you think they coming to you and somebody put a new label on that bit. You already, mind you already paid for the shoes, and them shits are just not coming. They're going somewhere else. The scalpers, bro, the scalpers scalp so fucking bad, chat, that they snipe them shits in the warehouse. They don't even have to snipe on the app. They don't have to snipe on the app. They snipe it in the warehouse when the motherfuckers get shipped out. Oh my God, that's actually egregious.
Been chosen by members of this conspiracy. And from that point on, the package would follow the new label. But changing the label was only half the job. And that's because a shipping label sitting on somebody's desk in Los Angeles can't move a single package inside the warehouse in Memphis. So somebody had to sneak those labels inside. And according to
I'm not gonna lie, chat, this right here is also the reason the resale business is dead. You know how them scalpers were always getting their hands on fucking like the Jordans and shit first, and now a bunch of Jordans are sitting? Niggas was tired of competing with them. You want fucking $500 for some shoes that cost $200 just because you got it first? Bro, I'm not doing that. Like, especially, and we in trying times right now, niggas ain't got no bread like that. Niggas is not doing that shit no more.
Federal prosecutors, this is where it became an inside job at the Nike warehouse. And court documents allege that one of these organizers was Roy Harvey Jr. And he is seen to be one of the masterminds behind this whole operation. And like a year ago when Project Blitz got raided, it was because of Roy Harvey Jr. He had been seen delivering or using some of these packages around the Project Blitz warehouse, and that's what got him raided. But according to this indictment, investigators allege that he created these shipping labels and arranged the delivery locations and coordinated where those redirected shipments would ultimately end up. Because Harvey wasn't a Nike employee and he couldn't just walk into the warehouse. According to the prosecutors, somebody else on the inside was handling how the labels got on the packages.
Okay.
And the indictment identifies a man named Michael Perkins. He was a floor manager inside Nike's Memphis Logistics Center. And Perkins allegedly would smuggle these shipping labels inside of the Nike warehouse where he would give them to other Nike employees. And prosecutors allege that these employees would place the labels onto specific cartons before they entered Nike's normal shipping process. And like I previously said, nothing on these packages looked abnormal. The packages continued out of the warehouse just like they would on any other day. And that's what made this operation so hard to detect. And this wasn't something that happened just once or twice. Courts allege that between 2022 and 2024, 1,860 fraudulent shipping labels tied to Roy Harvey Jr. was operated successfully through this whole process. And just to mention, this isn't 1,800 pairs, this is 1,860 boxes that are filled with multiple pairs. Whenever a shoe comes
They was running up I'm thinking 1,800 pairs. I'm like, God damn. No, 1,800 boxes of pairs. So there's like 4 or 5 fucking pairs in the box. Golly. Oh, them niggas was scalping.
out, sometimes a sneaker reseller will have an entire full-size run. They'll have hundreds or 200, 300 pairs of a shoe that's like just came out. Or also in the sneaker world, there's like early pairs. You'll see people have multiple pairs of shoes before they come out, like months before they come out. But what happened after the shoes left Memphis was almost a little more surprising. And investigators didn't follow the shipping labels, they followed the shoes. And that's where this story takes kind of an unexpected turn. And you have to remember, all of this is happening in private. This was before they decided to raid anybody or make any sort of like public thing about this. So by this point, investigators believed that they understood how the shoes were leaving the warehouse. But that only answered half of the mystery, because stolen inventory doesn't just disappear. Somebody has to receive it, somebody has to pay for it, and eventually somebody has to sell it. So investigators started following these sneakers and shipments. Now, according to these court documents and stuff, it doesn't really say how they were able to identify this. Some people say that they put trackers like inside the shoes or inside the boxes. Some people
I can see that. A slide tracker to see if it goes to a specific place.
Said that they like went over their inventory lists, or I don't know how they did it. I wish I had this answer because that'd probably make this video a little bit more interesting, but I don't know how they tracked down these shoes from the Memphis warehouse to what I'm about to say. So instead of these boxes of sneakers showing up at retailers like Champs, Foot Locker, maybe a Nike store, these boxes of hundreds of pairs of Jordans would go into an undisclosed location, and they would essentially just be dropped off by UPS. So after these shoes were being unpacked, they were being sold at sneaker conventions, sneaker stores, and other sneaker websites. And some of these pairs were just placed into a warehouse or the backs of stores to be sold eventually. And like I said previously, if you have some of these shoes that don't release for 4 months and you have like 100 or 200 pairs, that looks really suspicious.
Yeah, that looks overly suspicious. Like, you can't do, like, how the fuck did you get that many pairs 5 months before these shits come out? Yeah, you're something suspicious. Something's not right. You got these from somewhere that you're not supposed to really have it.
Suspicious. So in some cases, they would just keep these shoes until like a week or two after they released and they were hot and everybody wanted them, and then they'd begin like flipping them. So I'm assuming that's where some of these shoes would end up in like warehouses and stuff. But investigators started looking into resale businesses, and the further they followed these shipments, the more these certain names kept popping up. One of them being Chicago Emporium, which is a large Chicago resale business. Another one being Whorehead Investments. And then there was one name that stood out above all the others. And that name was Cool Kicks.
Yeah.
And if you've been around sneaker culture for like the past
I saw the information about them getting like arrested and like indicted and shit, and I genuinely thought it was because they were selling fake sneakers.
decade, you know who Cool Kicks is. Cool Kicks wasn't a small reseller operating out of like a storage unit.
Like, yeah, they used to do videos with creators, like help Kai get some kicks, Phantom, like a bunch.
It was
of
one of the
creators.
biggest sneaker stores in America. NBA players, rappers, celebrities,
Dirk, Central C, like
all these people bought shoes from there in Los Angeles.
fucking the Sidemen, like what?
And their videos reached millions of people on the daily. And for a lot of sneakerheads, Cool Kicks represented the top of the resale world. They were definitely one of the most popular sneaker resale stores and YouTube channels in this entire business. So a lot of people think that it's just a deal that owns it, the guy that's mainly on the face of the channel. But there's another man named Barakit Abraham, and he also goes by BK. But in these legal documents, he is accused of playing a role in the early stages of this conspiracy. The prosecutors allege that between July 2021 and May 2022, Roy Harvey, which is the mastermind of this, he received 149 shipping labels that were associated with the Cool Kick store. And that allegation matters because those labels were allegedly used before Harvey began creating labels through his own company, which was RHJ Global. Which, in other words, prosecutors believe that this whole scheme was evolving over time. It didn't begin as like this huge, massive like operation. It started with just like a few people. And when the money entered the picture, things get more serious. But according to the indictment, between April and November 2023, Cool Kicks allegedly sent approximately $127,000 to a man named Keith Cannon, who was also mentioned in these documents for this whole scheme. On top of that, they had allegedly sent another $88,275 to Roy Harvey Jr., who was the mastermind. But before we jump to conclusions, those numbers don't prove any guilt. Some people say that Cool Kicks was just buying shoes from this person and they didn't know that they were stolen from Nike. And I'll leave it up to you guys in your own research to figure that out. But when reading the legal documents, there was some more evidence that kind of stood out. In September 2022, Roy Harvey allegedly asked the co-owner of Cool Kicks to create fake invoices. And the prosecutors alleged that these invoices would make it appear that these shipments were legitimate. And this would allow these packages that may have gotten held up in UPS to then be released. So on the off chance, if these sneakers are being transported from the Nike facility to these undisclosed locations, if or when these packages got
fake
held up,
invoice, like you paid for it, legitimately. Oh my God, these niggas is devious.
you would have to provide something that says like you bought these shoes before they would be released. And that's where these fake invoices would come about. Basically saying like, hey, I paid Roy Lee, this guy, X amount of money, like he's delivering these shoes to me because I bought them. But in reality, they were all coming from the Nike warehouse illegally and stolen. But this is just a conspiracy. This is not proven fact. I'm just simply telling the story how it is. Also, according to the indictment, Chicago Emporium was allegedly purchasing large quantities of shoes connected to
All right, see, niggas got to doing too much. For $500,000 for shoes?
this operation as well. Federal prosecutors allege that Joel DeLuna, I think is the owner of Chicago Emporium, he negotiated with Harvey to receive unreleased Nike products. Meanwhile, another Los Angeles retailer, Whorehead Investments, he allegedly also sent nearly $700,000.
Damn! Almost a fucking, oh my God. A little less than a, oh my God. A little less than $1 million. Holy shit. These niggas was dishing bread. Sold shoes through StockX, Goat, Sneaker Marketplace. Oh my God.
dollars in wire
Cool Kicks paid Harvey and Cannon 12 See, Cool Kicks was like dishing out little bread. These niggas was dishing out big bread,
transfers
bro.
connecting to this government's investigation. So everybody that I just named were resellers that were allegedly sending money to Roy Harvey to get these shoes so that they could flip them themselves or sell them in their store. And piece by piece, shipment by shipment, and payment by payment, what first looked like a warehouse theft was beginning to look like something that was much, much larger. The prosecutors believed that they had just uncovered an alleged distribution network stretching from the floors of Nike's warehouse in Memphis all the way to some of the biggest sneaker resale businesses in the world. But if these investigators spent years following these shipments and following the labels and following the money, what finally caused this whole operation to fall apart? Well, for years, according to the federal investigations, the operation kept working. Shipments continued to leave Memphis, labels continued to change destinations, and businesses continued buying in.
Yeah, the thing is, here's where I'd feel like it get like niggas is gonna start reporting like, yo, I'm not getting like companies. This is supposed to be shipped to a fucking company that ordered fucking 30 pairs of shoes. I'm not getting a box of shoes. I would be like, hey, where the fuck my 30 shoes at? Like, I ordered 30, I paid for 30 pairs of shoes or 100 pairs so I can sell them in my store. Where the fuck my shit at?
Inventory. And remember, all of this was done in secrecy. They were spending a while trying to figure this out and piece this together before they began just raiding and arresting everybody. But from the outside, nothing looked different. Nike was still shipping shoes, UPS was still delivering them, and the resale market was still growing. And when it comes to a resale store, when customers walk in and buy a pair of shoes, they don't know where they came from before
Literally.
the store. Like I said, these are resale stores. They buy them from people and resell them because they're hype shoes. So the customer has no idea of knowing where these were previously before the resale store. And investigators were quietly piecing together things that didn't seem related at first. A shipping label here, a payment there, phone records, wire transfers, delivery addresses. On their own, none of those told the full story. But together, the prosecutors were able to form like a pattern. And then one moment changed everything. In January of 2024, Roy Harvey was arrested in Los Angeles. And this was when the popular sneaker
Project
resale warehouse
Blitz gets raided. 5 million in stolen shoes. Shit.
and platform Project Blitz got raided. And for those who don't know, Project Blitz, they're huge. They have a YouTube channel and they've even been on like Pawn Stars. They make videos pretty much showing off some of the rarest sneakers that you can possibly buy in the world. But supposedly, after they gathered this evidence, they arrested him with 28 cartons of stolen Nike
Cartons?
products that were connected to this whole conspiracy. And that is why Project Blitz got raided, because somehow, some way, he was delivering shoes to Project Blitz. But the Project Blitz story is an entire video on its own and all the controversy that comes with that. But this was one of the first moments that investigators could say that they could physically connect redirected
Nigga
shipments
said all this for some feet gloves.
to
Nah,
somebody
real.
in this operation, and that was Roy Harvey. But this arrest didn't stop the investigation. They went through Harvey's phone, his financial records, and they found connections that led to new leads. Investigators weren't just looking backwards anymore, they were starting to connect the pieces on this whole map. After the mastermind of this whole thing got put away in jail, now the business is still going. That means somebody's still doing this and people are still buying this from Nike. And that's when they realized this whole operation wasn't just centered around one person. It was an entire team. And it was 12 people to be exact.
Damn.
And so the investigators, they kept going. They kept reviewing financial records, they kept interviewing witnesses, and the case kept expanding. And this was when everybody started to get raided. Like I said before, the Project Blitz store got raided, and then the Cool Kick store also got raided while on live stream. This became like a huge viral moment. Like they were selling shoes on a live, the police busted in, and then there's all these clips of them getting arrested. Everybody thought this was because they were selling counterfeit
I thought it was because it was counterfeit shoes.
shoes, and that's
I dead ass thought, I was like, damn, they got raided because they were selling fake shoes. Everybody who went there bought some fake ass shoes. Whole time. It's real shoes. They just stolen.
Not at all the case. As well as there was clips online that showed a house that got raided that was completely full from like top to bottom with Nike shoes. And on top of all this, the Chicago warehouse that was Chicago Emporium also got raided. When all of this was happening, nobody really knew why. Like I said, everybody speculated counterfeit shoes and everybody was slandering Cool Kicks, saying
fake
they
shoes would have been better than stolen. Oh yeah, they're going to jail.
Sold like fake shoes, and that's not true. As well as Project Blitz, they got bashed everywhere for this, but in reality, they probably just bought a few pairs of shoes that were stolen that they didn't know about. But regardless, all these business reputations got cooked. But in July of this year, a federal grand jury returned a sweeping indictment charging 12 people with offenses including conspiracy, interstate transportation of stolen property, and wire fraud. And of these 12 names that were in this were Roy Harvey Jr., BK from Cool Kicks, the Chicago Emporium guy, Perkins. You guys can look at the list yourself. But for the sneaker community, this was the first time that these allegations were made public. And suddenly, all those raids, all those rumors, and all those unanswered questions, they finally had context just this month. But this story isn't just about Cool Kicks or one warehouse. It's about something much bigger. It's about how an industry built on hype and scarcity created one of the most perfect environments for an operation like this to exist for years. But like I said,
this is the reason that, bro, just drop enough shoes for people to buy, bro. Like, when people get to doing shit like this, it's, you know, it's like, yeah, exclusivity is kind of cool, but it's like also it should never get to this point where they're doing all of this just so they can have shoes first, so niggas can pay $200 more.
everything in this video is just alleged, and everybody in this case is innocent until proven guilty. I'm simply just stating what was in these documents. I'll pop it up on the screen right here. Cool Kicks actually made a statement about this and their co-owner and what's going on with them. I'll let you guys read that on your own. But in my opinion, the most surprising part about all this isn't the whole illegal scheme. It's about what happens to the sneakers. You see, these $2 million worth of shoes, thousands of pairs
they were already paid for that niggas did not get.
That were stolen, where did they go? Well, the answer is they went into the resale market. These are authentic Nike shoes, and they were sold to customers that had no idea where they came from. You see, like a stolen car, for example, the car has like a VIN number on it, and so if you get caught with the car, you get arrested, it's whatever.
Valid.
With sneakers, there is almost no way to identify the history or where the shoes came from, other than just like a receipt or a word of mouth type of thing. But platforms like StockX, Go, eBay, and certain resale stores were all selling shoes that were stolen from Nike, and they didn't know it, as well as all the stores that were not involved in this scheme that bought the shoes just because they wanted to flip them. Like, for example, if I had 30 pairs of these shoes that were stolen from Nike and I sold them to somebody else and they sold them to somebody else, and like, you get what I'm saying? It's hard to track all these down. So there was plenty of people in this whole scheme that were selling shoes that were stolen that they didn't even know it. And that's what makes this case so much different. It wasn't counterfeit fake shoes. It was real authentic Nike products that were just being circulated everywhere in the United States. And the sneaker community spent months trying to figure out why all these people got raided, and it seems like now we finally have some answers. And that's for you to decide. Once again, I'm just telling the story. I'm not taking sides with anybody. But the answer to this entire mystery was sitting on the box the entire time from the very beginning, and it was just a shipping label. And also one of the most elaborate schemes I think I've ever heard in sneaker history. And that pretty much wraps up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This one took a lot of research and a lot of putting this stuff together. To be honest with you, I've been putting this video together for I would say a month now. Before all of this new.
That's crazy, bro. Is that not insane? I think that's the thing, chat. I fuck with sneakers. I like sneakers. Y'all know I like sneakers. But that shit is crazy.